Well, shalom, my name is Todd Bennett from Shema Yisrael Tours, and today I want to announce our upcoming tour in September. I've had a lot of people request when our next tour is going to be, and of course we just got off of back-to-back Passover tours. It's Shavuot, and I've been doing some planning for a future tour, and it looks like it's going to fall in September, and I know that a lot of people are on different calendars, and we're trying to work with people on getting over here to the land. According to the creation calendar on TorahCalendar.com, we've got a Sukkot in September, and that's going to be a month different from the rabbinic calendar. But of course, everybody that knows me and has read my books knows that I do not subscribe to the rabbinic calendar. It's just a fabricated calendar that doesn't conform with the Torah. Particularly, we're supposed to look at the sun and the moon, the two great lights, to determine days, years, and appointed times, the Moedim, according to Genesis 1:14. So we use the Torah calendar in order to determine the appointed times, and this year's Sukkot is going to be in September. So I'm going to be over here for Sukkot, and we're going to start the tour during that Sukkot, and it looks like it's going to start on September 17th. So people will be flying in on the 16th. The first day will be September 17th, and it's going to run for 8 full days, and it'll be concluding on September 25th. People will be departing, or they can stay longer if they so choose, and they can come earlier if they want to. That's completely up to them, and we try to leave it flexible for people. We do a different kind of tour. I've been coming to Israel now. It's 50 plus times that I've been here over a span of almost 20 years, and I see people on these big tours, getting on and off like cattle being herded, and I always felt that I did not want to, I would never want to be on a tour like that, number one, and I wouldn't want to ever host a tour like that, number two. My tours have always been smaller, more personable, and I enjoy getting to know the people and really spending quality time with people in the land, and it's my objective to get people over here to the land and just, share with them the love for the covenant land. So our tours are smaller, more flexible, not as regimented. For instance, things like eating. When you get on a big tour, you've got you got to stay in a hotel because you've got to house all these people. So you all eat at the cafeteria in the morning, and then you've got to arrange lunches in the afternoon, and then you've got to make sure you're back by the time they're serving dinner in the evening at the hotel. And it's very regimented, and that's really not the way I like to be in the land. I like to be more fluid and more flexible. So we don't really have a meal plan for our tours. We leave it up to the individuals. We might just stop and get shawarma, while we're walking around the old city during the day, or we might go and get a light breakfast at a vegetarian restaurant that I like here in the old city. In the morning, we keep it flexible, or we may just have some fruit in the morning and go from there. So we like to have maybe some good dinners. There's so many good restaurants here that I do like to bring people out to some nice restaurants, and so it's flexible and it's not so regimented, and people are just encouraged to bring a budget on, and I can tell you pretty much how much you need to spend on food, but and you can go to a restaurant and eat whatever you want. It's not already pre-selected for you, or it's not some buffet that you have to pick something off that buffet and then figure out what you want to eat. So anyways, that's how one of the ways we're different. We also add to the itinerary as we go along. So if I see that we're a group that's really getting along well and moving well, and we're getting a lot of things done, we may add more things to the itinerary so that you can see more. And of course, my goal is to maximize your time in the land. And so we'll have a goal set in an itinerary, but we are flexible enough to divert from that or add to it as time permits. So anyways, generally I've been putting together the itinerary. Again, it spans over 8 days. Beginning September 17th would be a Jerusalem, a walkabout, introduction to the city, go see some highlights, get your bearings, because I do want you to have some free time too and explore on your own. So first things first, get to know Jerusalem. The second day will be a Samaria day trip. We'll get out to, and it's one of my favorites, to get out to the ancient sites in Samaria, where the fathers of the faith were, and where we read a lot of the stories of their lives, and as the covenant was being developed. And so we'll go to Bethel and Shiloh, and we'll visit a winery along the way, Tura Winery, and they actually harvest their grapes from Mount Gerizim, the Mount of Blessing. So they're really neat people, and they have some great wines. And we'll go to Jacob's Well in Shechem, and then ancient Shechem, the Tel Balata, that's ancient Shechem, and then we'll go up to Mount Gerizim and most likely Elon Moreh. See all these highlights in Samaria. So that'll be a long day, a full day. September 19th, which would be the third day, will probably be a Galilee day, and we'll head out early. We'll go to Jericho and then go to the Jordan crossing, where Israel crossed the Jordan, and where Yeshua was baptized, and then head over to Gilgal, the site where Israel first camped, and all the males were circumcised when they were taking the land, and where actually they camped there for approximately 3 years while they were taking the land. That was their headquarters. We'll then go up to the Sea of Galilee, the Kinneret, and we will go to a lot of the highlighted sites that we read about in the Brit Hadashah, Migdal, Capernaum, Chorazim, and the Hippososita, as well as the location called Peter's Primacy, where the feeding took place, and the 153 fish that we read about in John. So that's going to be a long, full day, and then we'll get back. And the next day will be a day trip to the Sea of Galilee, or the Dead Sea. We'll get out to Qumran and Masada, and we'll dig for brimstone at Gomorrah, and we'll get a chance to go into the Dead Sea, and maybe take the hike to the En-Gedi Spring, if time permitting, and then end up at the Mount of Olives, sunset, get a great view of Jerusalem. The next day will be the 5th day of the tour, September 21st. That's a Shabbat, so we'll probably go out to a park and hang out and fellowship with people, and just have a nice relaxing day. It's also Hoshana Rabbah on the Torah calendar, so we'll consider the events of Hoshana Rabbah on that date. The next day would be Shemini Atzeret, the 8th day of Sukkot. So we will talk about that, and probably just spend the day in Jerusalem, considering all the events that would have taken place on that date. September 21st, September 23rd, the 7th day, we'll go to the city of David, and we'll spend some time there looking at all the recent finds they have there. There's Hezekiah's Tunnel, the Gihon Spring, and we'll probably go up the Kidron Valley and see all the incredible tombs that they have there, and make our way up to the Garden of Gethsemane. And so that'll be a lot of walking, a lot of sights that we'll take in on that day. Next day will be a wall walk. We really enjoy doing walking the walls of Jerusalem, and I encourage people to either bring their shofars or get a shofar while they're here. And of course, there will be time for shopping, and we can, if you want to get a nice shofar, I can take you someplace where they have some nice things. But when we go on the wall walk, you want to read prophetic scriptures and prophesy on the walls of Jerusalem and sound the shofars. And really, it's a really incredible event that everybody thoroughly enjoys when they're here. And we'll also go and see Zedekiah's Cave, and also known as Solomon's Quarries, and underground, where there's all sorts of interesting things going on underneath the old city, and we'll make our way to the Garden Tomb, the Damascus Gate region of the old city. And so it looks to be a very, very action-packed, exciting, filled trip, and we'll conclude it on that 8th day, September 24th, and then September 25th, everybody would probably be making their way home, or if they decide to stay longer, they can stay longer. So that's the tentative itinerary right now for our next tour. So I will be posting this video, and we'll also get the itinerary on touryisrael.com or shemayisraeltours.com. And I've already had a number of people inquiring about this tour. It's going to be a small tour. Again, I like to keep them small because it's a lot easier and we're a lot more flexible. I think we have a lot more fun that way. So space is limited, and I would encourage you, if you're interested in the tour, get a hold of me as soon as possible. And I'm going to need to get commitments from people as soon as possible too, because I make the bookings, and if you change your mind, it really puts me in a tough spot. And so we'll ask people to if they're interested and they really want to go, to start making a commitment as soon as possible, because really there's not a lot of time. A lot of people prepare these things a year in advance, and so we don't have too much time, but I think time is fleeting, and maybe the window of opportunity to come to the land may be closing. So I'm trying to encourage people, if you've ever thought about coming over here, to do it sooner rather than later, because we don't know what the future holds. So that's it for now, and I'll have more information posted on the internet as soon as it becomes available. Shalom.